Mr. President, I joined with the senator from Hawaii, the senator from Washington State. I know the senator from Oregon is going to be joining us very soon. And taking this long, hot summer day in Washington and turning up the heat on the Trump administration and the big broadband companies. Today, the internet is having a protest. More than 80,000 websites are participating in today's National Day of Action on Net Neutrality to stand up for the fundamental right to a free and open internet. Today's action involves some of the internet's biggest names: Netflix, Twitter, Amazon, Snapchat, Mozilla, Yelp, Airbnb, and so many others. But it also includes many others. My own website and other Democratic senators and House members have joined in today's protest. And earlier today, right outside on the Capitol lawn, I gathered, and many of my Senate and House colleagues gathered, along with businesses and advocacy and consumer protection and nonprofit and political organizations to send a singular message: we will defend net neutrality. Net neutrality is the basic principle that says that all internet traffic is treated equal. It applies the principles of non-discrimination to the online world, ensuring that internet service providers, AT&T, Charter, Verizon, and Comcast, amongst others, do not block, do not slow down, do not censor or prioritize internet traffic. Yet today, the internet, this monumental, diverse, dynamic, democratic platform, is under attack. President Trump and his FCC chairman, Ajit Pais, are threatening to disrupt this hallmark of American innovation and democracy by gutting net neutrality rules. They have put internet freedom on the chopping block. We are facing an historic fight. If Trump's FCC gets its way, a handful of big broadband companies will serve as gatekeepers to the internet. We cannot let this happen. And that's why millions of Americans are standing up and making sure that their voices are heard at the Federal Communications Commission. They know that the internet, the world's greatest platform for commerce and communications, is at stake. It's net neutrality that ensures that those with the best ideas, not merely the best access, can thrive in the 21st century economy. That a garage-based startup in Malden, Massachusetts can have the same online reach and scope as a major tech firm in Silicon Valley. It's net neutrality that has made the internet an innovation incubator and job generator for the entire nation. And it's net neutrality that has been the internet's chief governing principle since its inception. Consider that today, essentially every company is an internet company. In 2016, almost half of the venture capital funds invested in the United States went towards internet-specific and software companies. That's $25 billion worth of venture capital funding in our country. Half of all venture capital went into that sector, this innovation sector that continues to transform not only our own economy, but the whole world's economy. And at the same time, to meet America's insatiable demand for broadband internet, U.S. broadband and telecommunications industry companies invested more than $87 billion in capital expenditures in 2015. That's the highest rate of annual investment in the last 10 years by the broadband companies. So we've hit a sweet spot. Investment in broadband and wireless technologies is high. Job creation is high. Venture capital investment in online startups is high. That's what we want. We want both the broadband companies and all of these smaller companies whose names escape us because there are tens of thousands of them, have a chance to coexist and to have the innovation continue even as the large companies continue to invest in broadband expansion. It is the free and open internet that has allowed us to enter a new phase of the digital revolution, the Internet of Things era, where our devices, our appliances, and everyday machines now connect with one another. The digital revolution is a global economic engine, and net neutrality is its best fuel. Taking these rules off the books makes no sense. With these net neutrality protections in place, there is no problem that needs fixing. It's working right now perfectly. In May, Chairman Ajit Pais and the Republican FCC voted to begin a proceeding that will effectively eliminate net neutrality protections, allowing a handful of broadband providers to control the internet. Chairman Pais' proposal would decimate the open internet order and the net neutrality rules that are protecting the free flow of ideas and commerce and communications in our country. Now, the big broadband barons and their Republican allies say that we need a light touch regulatory framework. Let's be honest, when the broadband behemoths say light touch, what they really mean is hands off their ability to choose online winners and losers. But we're not fooled when AT&T engages in alternative facts and says that they support net neutrality, and today's day of action because they don't support Title II, and they don't support net neutrality, and we must shine light on this kind of corporate deception. What the broadband providers really want is an unregulated online ecosystem where they can stifle the development of competing services who cannot afford an internet easy pass. Now, Chairman Pais says he likes net neutrality, but simply wants to eliminate the very order that established today's net neutrality rules. That's like saying you want to have your cake and eat it too. It makes no sense. President Trump and his Republican allies are waging an all-out assault on every front that they can on our core democratic values, whether it's health care, immigration, climate change, or net neutrality. They want to end the vital protections that safeguard our families and to hand over power to corporations and special interests, but we know better. We need to make our voices heard. A political firestorm of opposition will protect our economy, protect our free speech, protect our democracy. We must protect net neutrality as a core principle in a modern 21st century America. In a modern America where the smallest company online can aspire to reach all 320 million Americans in a non-discriminatory way, where the smallest company can raise the capital in order to accomplish that goal, where the smallest company doesn't have to ask for permission to be able to innovate in our society, where the smallest company doesn't have to first raise the money to ensure they can pay to have access to this incredible economic engine of entrepreneurial expression that has been the internet for this last generation, where free speech, the First Amendment, this ability to be able to speak unfettered, uncontrolled by corporate America, and whether or not you can afford to speak is something that continues to be protected in our country. That's what net neutrality is all about. The principles of non-discriminatory access is what gave us Google and eBay and Amazon and Hulu and YouTube and Etsy and Dwala and Wayfair and TripAdvisor and company after company who knew that they could access every single potential consumer in our country and could, as a result, raise the capital necessary to ensure that that engine of economic, entrepreneurial innovation could be deployed from their minds and changing fundamentally the economy of our country and the economy of the world. In 2017, every company is an internet company. Every company depends upon this free and open access to the internet. That's what we have been transformed into in just the last 20 years. I was the Democratic co-author of the Telecommunications Act of 1996. In 1996, not one home in America had broadband. Can I say that again? Just 20 years ago, not one home in America had broadband. But we changed the rules to create this chaotic, entrepreneurial world where all of a sudden, all of these companies whose names are now common household names could be created, transforming our economy. There is no problem. They're trying to fix a problem that does not exist. We need to give this next generation of entrepreneurs the same opportunity to innovate that this last generation had. Not to get permission, not to ask, pretty please, if I can reach all 320 million Americans. No, ladies and gentlemen, that is not what this revolution is about. That's not what young people all across this country with brilliant new ideas to further transform our American economy online want to have as an obstacle. What will happen now is you'll have an idea, but if you can't raise the money to pay for this fast lane broadband access, then it's just going to throttle back your ability to be able to move in this agile way that the internet provides. Instead of agility, it'll be hostility that you will be feeling as an entrepreneur, feeling that you cannot take the risk. You're not sure that you'll be able to reach your customers. You're not sure you'll be able to pay the broadband companies rather than ensuring that you can reach all of these potential consumers for your revolutionary new idea. So this Internet Day of Action, which we're having today across the country, it's going to raise from 5 million to 6 million to 7 million to 10 million to 15 million to 20 million, the number of Americans who are going to be speaking to the Federal Communications Commission, to the United States House and Senate, that something is fundamentally wrong with this FCC and its potential change of the internet, open internet order. And if they do move, we're going to court. If they do move, we're going to be taking this all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, because that is how important this issue is. It goes right to the fundamental nature of what happened to our economy in the last 20 years. And that's all it took. We moved from the black rotary dial phone to a world where everyone is holding a computer in their pockets. Happened just like that. It could have happened before that, but it wasn't possible because the broadband companies didn't even exist. They were just telephone companies and cable companies that did not have a vision of the future. But their vision of the future is a lot like their vision of the past. Before that law passed, which is let's go back to total control by a small handful of companies in a communications cartel, rather than thinking of the future as tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of smaller companies that can be started up in dorm rooms and garages all across our nation. So this is a dangerous and harmful plan that the FCC has on the books. Today's days of internet action are just going to be increasing as each moment goes by between now and the day they make that decision at the FCC. Mr. Chairman, I yield back the balance of my time.